So thank you again for watching my videos. I hope you like them and enjoy them. I wanted to make one more. This one's not going to be as polished as the others because I just want to get this out. I've put a lot of time into these videos. It's my own personal time. I'm just a regular guy that's excited about fiber, and I think it's going to be very good for our city. Utah Taxpayer Association, on the other hand, is a super PAC. They're a 501c4 entity, which means that they are along the same lines as a super PAC. So companies can donate to these types of organizations without any kind of disclosure. They're not tax deductible, but they unlink the funds from the company, and they can pay companies like the Utah Taxpayers Association to do their bidding for them. They can put up barricades in front of cities like Kaysville who may threaten their business model, which is exactly what Kaysville Fiber does. When you think of an organization that has a name like the Utah Taxpayers Association, you think that they would be a company that would be supported by people. That's not the case. If you look on their website, if you look at the history of the association, you can read this part. Now, after nearly 90 years, the Utah Taxpayer Association boasts a membership of over 2,500 businesses and individuals statewide. 2,500. There's over 30,000 people in Kaysville, and this is supposed to represent all of Utah. Also notice that they use the word businesses before individuals. What that tells me is this is not an organization that is representing individuals. This is an organization that is representing businesses. It says it there. It says it right there on their website. This is an organization that deals in favoritism and special interests. Let's look at the company's Google reviews. A quick Google search will show that they are not a very well-liked organization. Click on Google reviews. This is not a legitimate group that advocates for taxpayers. Don't be fooled by the name. I was duped by this group for years. I donated for many years and finally woke up to the fact that they are not looking out for the taxpayers, but their buddies. The fact that they're even allowed to call themselves Utah Taxpayer Association is wildly deceiving. Lying through their teeth to benefit the rich, sending out misleading information, dishonest. And this one, which was put out 6 years ago, so this wasn't put out by a Kaysville fiber person, this is a satellite office for CenturyLink and Comcast. Wow. So you have to understand that this is what you're dealing with. You're dealing with companies that want to put out information that is misleading and will scare you so that you will not go down this road. They are the ones who are scared. They are spending money to send these flyers out to all of Kaysville. They're paying money to put signs out. They are afraid of Kaysville Fiber because they know it will negatively impact their ability to use their monopoly to pull as much money as they possibly can out of Kaysville residents and businesses. So let's take a look at some of these flyers. Kaysville already enjoys a 99.7% broadband coverage. Okay, broadband coverage was last defined in 2015. Broadband coverage means that you have a 25 megabit per second download connection. That's pretty sad that only 99.7% of Kaysville can get 25 megabits per second. That's setting the bar pretty low. And the fact that we are 7th best in Utah explains why so many cities, even though Utopia is going further and further into the red, cities are still flocking to them because they can save money. And I'll show you that in just a minute, but government-run fiber projects have failed. That's actually not correct. Most of them have succeeded. These two have failed because they were a little bit too soon. The demand wasn't quite there. They didn't know what they were doing. They had inexperienced contractors. You can see all this on yeskayvillefiber.com. Here's a great graphic that shows all the differences between the early 2000s fiber projects such as Utopia and Kaysville Fiber. So the early adopters, they were paying a premium. They were blazing the trail for everybody. These are the ones like the pioneers crossing the plains who froze their toes and paid a heavy price to get across. We're at the stage now where it's like you can take the train there now. We have very experienced contractors. The demand is there according to the survey that we took last year about people who wanted fiber. We have world-class contractors that are working to build this fiber network. So much more of the network is able to be automated. All of this saves costs. And while we're talking about other projects, let's go take a look at what some of those were. So look at all these cities. These cities are the ones in the Penn study, which was actually not a very good study. Some of their numbers were completely wrong. They didn't even contact any of these cities to verify any of their data. But let's go ahead with this data. You can see that according to the Penn study, all of these cities were expected to never ever become self-sustaining. These cities were in the danger zone, and they were showing only 2 cities as being successful. So the Penn Studies data goes up through 2014, and 2020 we're seeing all of these are self-sustaining. And this is even a small sample size. This is just the ones in the study. But look at this. Clarksville, Tennessee went from it will never be self-sustaining to 6 years later, they've paid off 60% of their debt, or 60% of their debt has been paid off in 11 years, and it will be fully paid off in 2 more years. Self-sustaining, 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 self-sustaining. So the claim that we're going to turn into utopia is absolute nonsense. Utopia had so many problems with it. Aside from the ones I've already mentioned, it was also an 11-city fiber mess. There was no one city in charge. That's one of the reasons that Kaysville City decided not to go with Utopia, was because we wanted to be completely in control of our future. And with Kaysville Fiber, we are. Everything is controlled by our city. Okay, these other 2 points, if the project fails, Kaysville taxpayers will be left holding the bag on a $22 million bond. I hit all that in video number 3. I go over all of the risks. This $22 million is 57% more than the Kaysville general fund budget for an entire year. Well, yeah, Kaysville has a $16 million per year revenue. Payments on that debt would be over $1 million per year. That's absolutely correct and would be completely paid for by subscribers. All we need is a 35% take rate to be self-sustaining. And we already have 31% who signed up last year for Kaysville Fiber. That's also conservative. It doesn't include churches, businesses, organizations that also want to sign up for Kaysville Fiber. So let's go on to the next one. Yep, more of the same. We're going to turn into utopia. No. No, we would have to on purpose drive off of a cliff in order for this to happen. So much is different now. Costs are less. Contractors are more experienced. We've had 16 years to watch all of these other cities try to navigate the woods, and we know what works now. We know what paths to take. We know how to make Kaysville Fiber successful. And lastly, I got one more comment about not hitting on the point that Kaysville City will be somehow distracted by Kaysville Fiber. In my opinion, this is the first time the City Council has really been focused on what they're supposed to be doing. They are supposed to be making things better for the city, growing revenues, and cutting expenses. Look at some of these cities. Some of these cities have made huge impacts on their community because they had a municipal fiber network. This one illustrates the impacts that it made on the school district. These schools were paying $7,500 per month to lease 2 strands of fiber. Once the city fiber network came in, they were able to pay $14,000 per year. Not per month, per year. That's less than 2 months worth of what they were doing before. That's an 85% drop. Can you imagine what that would do to your property taxes? I mean, we're talking about cutting expenses for schools, for businesses. We have businesses out there that need to upload data. I mean, think of your dentist office, your doctor's office. They have to send medical records back and forth to each other. Those are costs that get rolled over to their customers. And it's not just the cost of the internet itself, it's the cost of the people. If you are paying a doctor to sit and watch a progress bar, it doesn't take very long before those costs start adding up. And it's not just doctors, it's engineers, it's dentists, it's pharmacists, anyone who has to deal in data, computer scientists. This is one other thing. Having high internet speeds available will attract businesses here. If you look at Lehigh, their property values went through the roof simply because they had an infrastructure that attracted some very high-paying jobs. You drive past there, you can see all of the companies there. Having fiber in Kaysville can do the same thing, and I know it because Hill Air Force Base, they are losing jobs right now because the base itself does not have the infrastructure necessary for the high-speed internet, and many software jobs are dependent on that. So some of those jobs are going elsewhere. They're going out to Ogden, they're going out to Salt Lake because those are places that have the higher speeds that are required for those types of jobs. If we could attract those types of jobs to Kaysville, many of which jobs are very appropriate for working from home, that will make Kaysville an even better and even classier place to live. And because it's work from home, we can do it without the giant commercial parks that you see out in Layton. We can do it while keeping Kaysville as a neighborhood city. If we can find ways like this to be smart about our money, to be able to find smart opportunities where we can reduce our ongoing expenses, then the city will better be able to focus on things like improving the power structure. We could actually take money that we were going to spend on one thing and move it over to another thing. We can build that extra fire department in West Kaysville. We can do the things we want to do, but only if we're willing to make the smart investment choices up front. Please vote yes to Kaysville Fiber, and thanks again for listening to my rant.